In this half of class, you're going to be working with scales on axes. Now, talking about our axes again, we have the X and Y axis. So we have the X going left to right and the Y going up and down. Okay, those are your axes, the Y axis and the X axis. So, the scale of an axis, and I'm going to highlight this, I want you to do it as well. The scale of an axis is the number of units that each grid line represents. So what does that mean, Ms. Collins? Well, if you look at the dot in the middle, our origin, if you go over 1, you have a line. That's our little grid right there. If you go one more, you have 10. So you see my tick marks are every 10. However, there is one line between my 0 and my 10. So what's halfway to 10? Well, that's 5. So that tick mark, let me erase that real quick. This tick mark right here actually is 5. So that would be a 5, like on your number line. And then we have 10. Halfway between 10 and 20 would be 15 on my scale. And then 5 more would be 25. And it goes the same and on the y-axis as well. And one thing I want you to actually note is that the scale on the y-axis and the x-axis will be the same. So what we have in this example is that we have a graph. There's that shows the location of a city. It also shows the location of Gary's and Jen's houses. Okay, here, Gary's house and Jen's house. Each grid square is 5 miles on a side. So like our tick marks that we came up with, every tick mark is 5 miles. That's our distance, 5 miles. Okay, get rid of that. You need to use the scale to describe Gary's location relative to the city. And again, each grid square is 5 miles on a side. So Gary's house, our coordinate pair, right here, coordinate pair, is negative 25. So that means my x, I'm going to go negative, which is at the left, going to the left, negative 25, right here, positive 15. So my y-axis, I'm going to go count by 5. 5, 10, 15. So that is the location of Gary's house. So in direction terms, on a map, you would say is 25 miles west and 15 miles north of the city, because the city is our origin right here. Now, then you need to describe the location of Jen's house relative to Gary's house. So basically, they want to know how far away is Jen's house from Gary's house. And then, since we're counting every 5, we would count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So 6 grid squares to the right is what they're saying. 6 grid squares to the right of Gary's house. And then since each grid square is 5 miles on a side, you could do the math and say 6 times 5 equals 30 miles from Gary's house. We also, like we just did, we counted by 5s as well. So now that you've watched this, you're going to do this example on the bottom with Mrs. Simpson. So to show her that you're ready, you need to, after you've highlighted up here, the scale, this is our up here. You need to put your highlighter away, close your Chromebook, and wait for instruction.